That was the first product that I would say I created, and just oddly enough, it wasn't even a product that I thought was going to ever be a product. It was literally just the solution to a problem that I wanted.
Welcome to Let's Talk Shop, a podcast where we talk shop with different screen printers, inventors, creators in the screen printing industry. And today, I'm Ryan Moor, joined with our inaugural host, welcome, Chad Kirkenbush from PrintGRIP. Now, Chad, you have been screen printing for much longer than this PrintGRIP. So tell me your background, your story, how long you got printing, why you got started printing.
Yeah, so been screen printing for about 20 years. I had my co-owned a shop for 17 years. And, started out very, very basic with a single press with a friend of mine. And we were just doing like softball shirts for friends' teams.
So why did you start screen printing? Because you were in sports, or you had like a softball team, or?
I had a buddy. We were always interested in making our own clothing brand, and we wanted to start that. And then so when we had the equipment, then it just naturally came that we had friends, doing like recreational leagues, like, hey, we need some T-shirts. You guys can make that for us, and that's how it all started. And then.
So how old are you at the time? 20 years ago?
Yeah. So I think I was maybe 24, 25 years old. Yeah.
And how long did that take to get going to where you thought, okay, I actually have, because we all start screen printing for a different reason, there's some kind of need that we see typically from ourselves, and then that expands to the needs of those around us in our network or whatnot. And so, but how long did it take from where you started when you pulled your first squeegee? By the way, what was your first screen print?
It was our softball team, Ballerific.
Ballerific. How did it come out? What kind of cotton garment was it on? How many colors was it?
It was one color black ink on a red shirt.
That's not.
It was the most basic of basic, And I think it just said Ballerific in straight font.
When you saw that design come to life for the first time, were you hooked immediately?
Yeah. I mean, it all came back to we wanted this clothing brand to come out. We were super excited about it, and wanted to bring this out, and then we realized that how hard that was, and yet this other market was there that we could explore and do.
Okay, so you printed Ballerific, right? And then you were in love with the process. How long did it take to say okay, this is a viable business, and start to actually? What were you doing at the time? Were you working at a job?
Yeah, so I was already working at a bank, and we started screen printing T-shirts. And after that, I realized that to continue into it and to get bigger, we would have to go into the machines and everything. I actually started working for a cousin of mine who had a uniform, or who had just purchased a uniform company. So they were making uniforms, and so, but they had a screen printing press, and so they brought me in to say, hey, you want to do sales for us? You understand screen printing, you know how to do it. Why don't you do sales, and you expand our uniform business into schools and restaurants, bars, and small businesses. And so I became a co-owner of that company over time. And that's really where
how long after you started, you became the co-owner?
So that was probably 5 years after I had just started learning how to screen print.
Okay. Did you do it full-time on your own, or did you just go into that company?
I ended up going to that company full-time as sales. And then within a very short period of time, I think it was within 6 months, I was the only salesperson. I was running production. We had one screen printer. And so it was only 5 of us at the time. And then, when I left that company 17 years ago to run PrintGRIP now, I think we had up to 24 employees.
So that company ran for 17 years from the time you were the sales guy, became a partner in it. How big? You got 24 employees. How many presses did you have? So, how many shirts would you print?
Right. So just at the end, they were installing the third press, and we were doing about maybe 2,000 to 3,000 shirts a week.
Okay. And why did you get out of it? Why did you stop printing?
So it came down to the last 3 years that I was working there. I was also trying to run PrintGRIP, expand that, and I realized that I wasn't doing probably either business its due. I was kind of, trying to do both at the same time, and I realized that I was just doing both jobs okay instead of doing one job good, And so I had to make a decision, which one's going to be my future, which one can I really, dedicate my time to, and that's when I end up selling my part back to the other owners and start running PrintGRIP full time.
How long ago was that?
That was in December of 2023.
So when you came up, we'll talk about the idea of PrintGRIP and where it came from, but was that the first product that you had ever invented, or did you always have ideas of creating products or inventing? I guess screen printing in itself is kind of an inventive process because every design, every project is somewhat inventive, but did you ever think of other products before PrintGRIP, I guess?
No, I've thought about products after PrintGRIP, that are still in the screen printing industry, but that was the first product that I would say I created, and just oddly enough, it wasn't even a product that I thought was going to ever be a product. It was literally just the solution to a problem that I wanted, and that's really how it came to be. I really wasn't thinking it was going to go any farther than the press that I was running.
So what was the problem, and how did you then come up with the solution?
Yeah, so the problem was just the story. I'll tell you how it began. I guess it's easier to bring it from the beginning. It was 2020, late October, early November, super heavy fleece week at the shop, and every night we're running hoodies all day. At the end of every shift, we're ripping the pallet tape to start the next day fresh, or we're coming in the next morning, ripping it, starting fresh again. And I think it was by Thursday, we had already, and we had two presses, we had already taken the sheets off 4 or 5 times. And after just doing hoodies that long, it's they're bulky, they're big, you're getting to the end of the week and you're exhausted, and the last thing you want to do is we got to do the pallet tape again, and we knew we probably had to do it. We had probably had to do it 2 or 3 more times by Friday. And so it was just late at night, and I was like, all right, what else is out there that's going to eliminate this process? Because we're losing time, it's costing us, time is money, clearly, and we're losing all this time. We're exhausted. No one wants to do it. No one's happy to do it. And so we just start looking around for another product. What's gonna fix this problem? And we've had experiences with similar products, I would call them, which is your dual tack and different adhesives, your sprays and your water base and different than your web and your mist.
When you were at that time, what were you doing? What was your go-to?
So we had already converted over from sprays to water base. Okay. So we had already experienced those. We had tested dual tack, even with that, it would run for a bit, and then we'd still go back to adhesive on top of it.
Yeah.
So just coming to the realization that there wasn't a product out there that, in my mind, could do the job. And so I just kind of start putting a list together of what properties are needed to make this work. And those properties, you need it to be tacky, so there's an adhesive part of it. You need a durable material because you're going to, get chemical on it. Because if you get ink transfer, you're going to have to clean it. So, tackiness, longevity, chemical resistant. And so I just start searching, and I first start searching in the screen printing industry. Yeah. It's got to exist because screen printing has been going on for how long, and we're still using glues. You could probably go back to the first screen print, and the guy was like, "Well, let's use glue," and then the last person that used it was like, "Let's just keep using glue." And so I had to start looking outside of the screen printing industry to start looking at materials that had these properties. And I start coming across, gels. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different formulas of gels and this and that. And, just starting to dial in these properties can be made in this material, trying to find a source of that material, and then testing that material, and then trying to figure out how can this be manufactured to suit the need for screen printing. And over months of, testing and sampling and trying to dial in this and that, I came across the very first product, which was white, was just medium tack. And then just start running it in my shop, and then I start showing people.
Okay, so you came up with the we have changing platen tape, spray, all that stuff on fleece especially sucks. I'm gonna try some other stuff. What other things do you try? And tell me some of those stories of like were they failures? Did they kind of work? Did they
from PrintGRIP?
No,
or
like
trying to experiment with something other.
Yeah,
products?
those as you led to the path of like I'm gonna find these gels. I'm going to these things. Like what?
Yeah, so to get to the point where I actually found a gel that worked, there was other like different kinds of like industrial tapes, like that I would try to like take like 2-inch tape or 3-inch tape that was double-sided, like like a 3M type product, and I was like taping the boards up, but then. All these products had the same problem. It was an adhesive applied to a material.
Yeah.
Either that material being like a vinyl type or that material being a paper type. Nothing could hold up. Like I found some materials that had the tack, but I never found a material that could take a chemical.
Yeah.
And then so you'd be in the same situation again. It's like I got yes, it's holding, but I got to rip this off when it gets built up. You couldn't clean it. So just a lot of different tapes, all these different variations of tapes.
So you're there on a platen, like putting different lines of tape on, like just all night. What point in time were you like, I think I have an idea. This could be a product.
So it wasn't until I finally got a product that I worked with a manufacturer that were able to get it in sheets. I was able to sheet it so I can mount it onto the press. And I remember the first time that I tested it, and I remember going to my graphic designer, and I was like, "You are not gonna believe this. Like, it works." Her name was Brenda, and she was great. And I was like, "It works." I was like, "It works. Like, you were not gonna believe this." And I was like over the moon, with it. And so we ran it in the shop. We were probably running it for, I don't know, a handful of months, and then I showed it. I took it over to a buddy shop. And showed them, and I was like, dude, check this out. And they were like, oh, it doesn't work. I was like, no, it totally works. You got to try it. They tried it. And then, just over time, just kind of like, I was kind of real nervous to show a lot of people, because at this point it wasn't like, I couldn't really sell it because I wasn't manufacturing it. I had a handful of material to make it. I was still manually cutting it, And so it wasn't until I got to the point where I could get it in a form that I could actually manufacture, and then I was like, okay, like this can actually be a product. And then I remember showing it to, we had a rep come in, and he looked at my press, and he was telling me about a let's say a competitive product, and I said, well, I don't need that. I said, you ever seen this? And he was just like, what is this?
Was that like the dual side?
It was, he tried to sell me dual side, and I said, no, I said, I got this over here. And he was blown away by it. And then that's when it really clicked, like, all right, and I did have a website at that point set up, but it was a hard sell. It was a hard sell to try to get it out there.
Okay. So what the name, so you had a website, did the name PrintGRIP, where did that come from? How did you come up with that? The logo?
Yeah, so the name is it took me a long time to figure out, and I remember trying to talk with my graphic designer, the girl that I was really excited to show, and I was trying to come up with all these things that like combined like adhesive, something like print stick. And like, no, that people think it's a stick, like all these things. And it wasn't until like I actually looked in a thesaurus, of like different words for sticky, and grip came up, and then I was just like, print grip, and then when I finally heard it out loud, I was like, that's it, it's PrintGRIP.
PrintGRIP, and you go buy the .com immediately, register it.
Yeah, so there was one out there, and funny enough, it was for someone who was like screen printing gun grips.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I tried to buy it and, like totally ghost it, but yeah, so I had a print grip, unfortunately. Okay. But yeah, so the guy who got PrintGRIP is, I guess, somehow printing gun grips.
I mean, you print so many different things.
I know.
And the logo is like a T-shirt with the print grip kind of folded over it.
Yeah, so kind of like, a little bit of the tack over, kind of remind you of like ripping or peeling it back.
Did you design that logo?
Yeah, so that was Brenda, my graphic designer at the time, her and I kind of came up with that. I kind of came up with the idea, and then she tweaked it to a point that, kind of finalized it.
Okay, so this is 2021, you said?
Right in 2021, so I think I made my first sale off the website. I think the website was up in March, but I don't think I actually made an actual sale until maybe April.
So April 2021?
Yeah.
So it really only took 5 months from that hoodie season, or 6 months from that hoodie season to your first sale?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Pretty close, yeah.
And what did you sell that? What was the first sale for? Like how many sheets?
I think it was just a sample sheet.
Sample sheet.
I think I was selling sample sheets for, man, it was cheap. It was cheap. I think it was maybe like $15.99.
Oh, wow. And you were like, sweet, I have a business now.
Yeah, well, I remember talking to a buddy of mine. I had sent some out to him. He was screen printing out in Colorado, and he's like, what are you gonna sell it for? And I said, I got it listed for $15.99. He's like, double it. I was like, you're crazy. No one buys it now.
Yeah, we always undersell ourselves so short.
Yeah.
But the realization of somebody out there on the interwebs just bought something that I came up with and built a website for. That's a pretty cool first feeling.
Yeah, the first sale was amazing, and it really kept me going. Like every day, I'd be like holding my breath, like, am I gonna get a sample sale today? I'm gonna get a sample sale today. And that first product was white, so it took a while for the feedback to start coming in when people were like, hey, we love it for this, but it's not great for fleece.
The white is you call it the mid grip?
I call it, the 3 tacks, I go medium tack white, high tack yellow, super high tack black.
Okay. Now, for the audience that is listening, explain what PrintGRIP is. Like what is it, how thick is it? What does it consist of?
Yeah, so PrintGRIP is actually a 1 millimeter polymer gel pad that you mount to your platen, and that's your replacement for adhesive. So that the sheet alone is your adhesive. So instead of adding an adhesive like a spray or a water-based glue, when lint builds up, you will clean that surface to expose the surface of PrintGRIP, and then your tack is back. So the lint blocks it. You remove the lint with water. There's your tack. So it's I call it like a yin and a yang compared to traditional. Traditional adhesives, you will add a glue, whereas in PrintGRIP, you remove a blocker.
Yeah.
So it's just a yin and a yang.
And it's 1 millimeter.
1 millimeter.
And that millimeter, like, it has a lifespan, like it goes smaller and smaller and smaller, or it just kind of stays there, like?
It won't shrink or anything like that over time. A big question is, how long does it last? Or a lot of people, especially in the beginning, people are, well, when does it lose tack? Because we are only familiar with, say, a dual tack, where it can wear off. The biggest difference between my product PrintGRIP and say your traditional dual tack is that a dual tack is an adhesive applied to a material, whether that be a paper or some type of substrate. And so anytime you apply something to something else, you can then remove that or have it be removed or wear it off. And so everyone always assumed like, well, it will somehow it will get less tacky over time. That actually doesn't happen, because the properties of the tack, of the adhesive, of PrintGRIP is innate to the property. So you can take it, you can cut it in half. The middle is tacky.
It's itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the material. And so what happens over time when you're working with PrintGRIP and you're cleaning it, you're abrasing the surface. So imagine on a small microscopic level, you have very small pores. So when you first get your first PrintGRIP, they're shiny, lint builds up. You could almost spray with water and blow on it. That's how it comes off super, super easy. Now, over time, probably months of usage, and you're, cleaning it and you're abrasing that surface, those pores on the surface area are going to start opening up. And what's going to happen is it's going to get a little gummy, it's going to be a little degraded, and you're going to find the lint and other inks and things like that are going to be harder and harder to clear. So you're going to be fighting it. And a lot of times people would, especially, and to this day, people would say, hey, did you change something with PrintGRIP? Because I just took off my sheets and I put the new ones on and they're not as tacky. And I said, that's right, because you're increasing the tack as that surface area is more exposed. So it actually gets a little tackier, over time because you're opening the surface area.
But how do you know when it's done?
Right, so what will happen is you'll start fighting it. You won't be able to clear the lint off as easily.
Okay.
And your edges, might get a little degraded, maybe little pieces might, chunk off or something like that. But really, when you start to fight the lint removal, then it's time to go.
All right, so this was, made your for sale 2021. That's essentially, right, you're coming up on your 3-year anniversary?
Correct.
Yeah, congratulations. Out of that 3 years, what's the record number of PrintGRIP changes that somebody's had on their press,
You mean how long has someone ever gone with it?
Well, there's that question, but also like how many times has somebody changed it?
Oh, geez, I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, some of our bigger customers change it out every 3 months.
3 months.
But they're running multiple shifts.
Wow.
Multiple shifts.
Okay, so, and then the record number of prints?
Okay, I've hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands.
I talked to Danny Greninger over at Thrive Night Owls, and he's like, I don't know, 500,000 prints.
Yeah, I remember when I was trying to calculate it, I remember after I hit 25,000, I was like, well, I'm going to stop counting.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the number means nothing because it was more of a time frame.
It's 0.000000, probably pennies.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It was insane.
And it runs like like a little $30 a sheet-ish, horrible model for the distributor, by the way.
So I'll tell you, this is a funny story too. So this just happened maybe 6 to 8 months ago. Customer sends me an email, stating his, there was a price increase, of course, over time. And he goes, hey, I'm a little disappointed. I went to go buy my PrintGRIP and it's gone up in price, and it's more expensive now. And I was like, well, that was kind of weird because like I had upped the price and it had been like, I don't know, like 8 months.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay. So I looked back into the gentleman's order and it was 11 months ago. Yeah. So I replied kindly to him. I said, sir, I thank you for, buying PrintGRIP again. But just to let you know, yes, we have increased our prices a little bit. But that you haven't purchased PrintGRIP in 11 months?
Yeah.
Like, do you know how much money you had saved? And yes, they are $5 more now from the time that he had bought them. And I thought that was really, and he was like, ha, you're right.
So for a 20 platen press or 200, $100.
Yeah. It was 11 months between orders,
Yeah, it's so much more as a model of a consumable. So distributors like screenprinting.com, we make our money off consumables, but our mission's always been like help the printer be successful and the printers, because we're not the biggest, we're like, we help a lot of printers, but there's so many larger distributors that cater to much bigger, much bigger printers that really sell millions of dollars of platen tape or spray mist. And I know like spray mist was always a thing. It was like, I remember trying to get like water-based glue into those compressed spray cans.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever try that?
No, I've seen them.
Yeah, it's like, it was a disaster because they would work for like a little bit and then they get all glued up. It's like, how do we get out of spray adhesive? Because that is so nasty. It gets on your hair. It's like one of my mentors in screen printing, like literally got his liver failed and he ended up passing away due to the chemicals and all the spray. He would used to go up in the classroom and be like, screen opener morning, and I'd be like, just like I can't breathe, and PrintGRIP takes all like so much chemical, so much spray out of the process, and really is way more eco-friendly, but is not maybe necessarily as good for those distributors that are trying to sell it. Did you ever get try to pitch it and be like, yeah, you can go to hell because you're going to ruin our business? Or did you ever get anyone mad at you for like like killing platinum?
Yeah, I mean, I will never mention anyone by name, but in the beginning, I tell you, like the first 6 months, like I almost had to give it away. Like I was so like, it was such a hard sell because, you know, if it was just glue since the beginning of time, no one ever thought like there is another way. Like, or why would there be another way? Like, it's glue. It's just glue. Don't even ask me about anything else. And I remember like calling distributors and sending emails, and it was all just nothing, just all ghosts. And I remember getting on the phone with a distributor, and I was like, hey, I got this great product. You know, this is amazing for screen printers. It's going to be so clean for their shops. It's all this, you know, going through all the benefits. And this guy goes, so it's going to sit on my shelf for 6 months? And I said, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it lasts like up to 6 months. He's like, so I'm only going to sell it once every 6 months? He's like, well, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's a better product, and then it's better for your customers.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, I don't know if it's for me.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, and it was devastating for me to hear that, because I thought that the product was done. You know, I couldn't get into distributors, and you know, and then after that, it was like I would call on big companies. I wanted contractors. You know, I was like, I need to get this into contractors' hands, and everyone's like, it's too slow. It's too slow. We ain't slowing that line down for nothing. And you got to do what? You have to spray it with water, and then you have to wipe it, and then you have to dry it. Like, no, like that's not happening. And I remember it was right after I probably came out. I was on the fence about making another tack at that time, because people were like, it doesn't really work for fleece. Then I was like, I'll come out with another tack. I overshot it with black, came back to yellow. Sorry, long story short, but.
So black was the second one?
Black was the second one.
Yeah.
So I overshot yellow. I just went to the next extreme.
I heard that it rips skin off hands.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, you know. And then
not literally, but
yeah. So it was too much, and then I dialed it back into yellow. And then once yellow came out, it was just like finally the product that was universal to everyone, and then it started really kind of catching on. Yellow. You know, and I don't know why in hindsight the way it worked out, but you know, I had a low one, I overshot it and then brought it back, and that's when it started going well. But you know, there was a time where I thought this product's just not gonna work. Couldn't, you know, I was okay with like, you know, smaller shops, because they were the ones where a lot of owner operators who love the idea of it's clean. It's going to save me costs, it's going to save me time. And I couldn't get it into anyone's hands that I could say like, well, these guys are doing it, so you know it's going to work for you. I was good with the small shops. You know, they were open to the idea. Everyone else was like, no.
So during that time where you're trying to get distributors and they're not kind of biting, you're not selling a ton, what kept you going?
Just the belief that it worked so well for me. Like, it worked so well for me, and the people, it was funny. It was like, I had so many people just hating on it without trying it, you know, and everyone was just so quick to say like, it doesn't work, it won't work, that sounds terrible, it takes too long a time to clean, like that'll never fly. That one distributor always in my head, like, it's gonna sit on my shelf for 6 months, like what's in it for me, you know, thinking that, you know, like, hey, I had a good idea, and that's about as far as it went. And, you know, it finally just took it. What kept me going was the people who did like it. The people who did like it were over the moon. They were like, I can't believe this. You know, this has saved my shop. You know, we're moving into a new shop. We will never go to any other thing. This is going to keep our floors clean. I had one lady said, I finally fell in love with printing again. She's like, I would come home every night and my arms were covered. You know, and people telling me about stories of them sticking to the floor. Yeah. You know, you can't sweep your floor because it's covered, you know,
Disgusting.
You know, like all the stories. And this is a funny slash, I don't know, it's not a sad story, but it's a funny story, and then it's kind of like, you know, like, kind of eye-opening. I did a contest of like, show me your spray tack machine. Show me a machine who, and the worst one gets a free set of PrintGRIP.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to do everything I can to drum up business, right? And finally, this one was encrusted. It was insane. It looked like a tree stump in the forest covered in moss. And so I posted it up. I said, this guy's the winner. I said his name. I felt bad because, like, dude, so many haters came out. That is terrible. I would never let my machine go like this. And people were like being mean to this guy who did nothing.
Was it automatic or manual?
It was a manual, you know, and looking back on it, like, I highly doubt this guy was even using the machine. It was probably sitting in the corner, but who cares? It was awesome. It was a great picture. Finally, I emailed the guy. I said, I am so sorry for those haters. I am so sorry for that negative. And this guy's just laughing. He's like, I don't even care. I said, well, you won, hands down. You're getting a set of PrintGRIP. Yeah, you know, he was more than happy, but it was funny, but it was like so hilarious to see. Yeah. It was great to see some of these pictures that came in too, you know.
The shops, how many shops have you been in now dealing with people that have?
I have been in a lot, and funny enough, like, now that they're on PrintGRIP, you know, like they'll tell me, we just cleaned. I always get, we just cleaned, because like now that they discovered PrintGRIP in the cleanliness, they'll clean their shops up because they know it's not going to get dirty again, you know, and that makes me feel really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, and as the company grew, like I said, what kept me going was those few people who had such amazing stories, you know, like, this is what we needed. Or we're moving a shop and we're not going to use that, or, you know, and just, I knew that if it's working for a few now, it's going to work for a few more tomorrow. It's going to work for a few more after that. And then at some point I may have enough money to go to a show and actually show people.
So when did that pendulum swing? When did the flywheel start turning more by itself versus you? Like hearing some good feedback, but not really seeing things like flip.
Right.
What was the pivotal moment?
Right. So Yellow got introduced in 2022, and then it kind of settled in that this is the universal product. This is bridging the gap. I had a few success stories, you know, that I could rely on, that I could, you know, talk to people. And it wasn't until I really got into a few bigger shops. You know, I had a distributor at the time. I did an ad in a screen printing magazine, and I ended up picking up a distributor who was interested in it, and got me into a few bigger shops, and being able to use those stories like, hey, it's not just for the small shop. It's not just for this. We have some bigger shops using it with great success, and we were able to kind of leapfrog the business from there, just based on success stories, and showing everyone, big shops, medium shops, small shops, it's for everyone. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great innovative product, kind of like what I call a tip of the spear product, where you're going in the shop and it doesn't really matter what kind of press they have, what kind of ink they're using. It's something that, like, have you seen this? And you bring a platen along, put it on, like, whoa, that's cool, you know? And it's, like you said, the bigger shops are going to use more, but it impacts the printer no matter what level. We just used it for a live print, you know, on a 4x1 Riley, you know, or Riley 150. And it was great because I didn't have to bring glue, spill it on the carpet of the hotel, you know, on my pants. Like, it was like, worry about spray mist, just PrintGRIP it and go.
I think that everyone probably had the idea, like, why isn't there something better? I don't think that this is a unique idea to me. It might be unique that I followed through with it, but, you know, I think everyone probably in their right mind when you're screen printing is like, is there nothing else? Look at all the, I mean, compare the adhesives market to white ink.
Yeah.
Can you count how many white inks are out there? I mean, but how many adhesive? You can count them on two hands.
Yeah, there's some technical adhesives that I've seen some very unique. Did you ever screen print water-based adhesive? Like, on one of our big ovals, like 26 platen, it takes forever to put, you know, water-based adhesive. Like, you know, Colin from Lone Mountain at times, like, let's screen print it. We did it for one water-based camp. We did it in Maid Lab. It's like, oh, that's cool. I've never seen that before. So there's some people come up with tips and tricks.
Yes.
But they haven't specifically completely changed. Like you said, yin and yang. It works completely differently than the other processes backwards, but it works so much better. And as you've evolved, so you had this problem, you solved the problem, but now what is your, as PrintGRIP, how is your why and why you do what you do kind of evolved from, you're solving your own problem to what is it now?
Yeah, so moving forward, and I think especially when you see the industry as a whole, going to a more sustainable product. People are now they're looking for products like PrintGRIP, and other things that can take away a consumable. I think people now are more open to the idea, whereas maybe 3 years ago they're like, we're good to go. I think COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and it made probably people look at a lot of stuff. There was a lot of products that we all had problems getting, and COVID was a devastating part to our industry, as other industries as well. But at the same time, there was a small problem with getting something that PrintGRIP solved that,
Oh yeah.
hey, at the time,
wasn't there a problem like with sprayed adhesive?
There was a lot of problems with spray adhesive, and guess what?
It went from I remember when we still sprayed adhesive for $2.95 a can.
Yeah.
And now it's $12 a can or something like that. It's stupid.
And at the time, I was sitting on pallets of PrintGRIP, so I was more than happy to answer anyone's call.
We, as Ryonet, stopped, kind of had our project 376, which is the Ryonet green, and we called it that because it was the whole initiative of making this industry more eco-friendly. And we were doing things like killing spray adhesive that weren't great for business, but I think the right move over time. And there has been more eco-friendly spray adhesives that have come out since then. We came out with some specialty products. When we were filming earlier, we were actually showing how you can use a spray mist or a specifically a web tack on top of PrintGRIP to go a little faster if you need to, or if you get a little more stick if you need to, so you can combine the two. Maybe it doesn't complete it, save it completely, but just spraying that one time, I started sneezing because I'm not used to it.
Yeah. And in fact, I think some of the staff was like, someone just sprayed in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining our day. I have a headache now. And it's crazy that just used to, and in some shops you walk into, you're like, okay, it's good to see you, and I'm going to go.
Yeah, it hits you. Yeah, I was just in a shop 2 weeks ago, and I walked into the initial front room where they had their, the shirts on display, and it hit me like a wall, and I was like, I didn't have to say 2 words. I was like, spray tack, and the receptionist was like, right? That's all she said, right? And I said, well, I can solve that. Yeah.
So from an environmental perspective, it is so much better, let's talk about the environmental factor of aerosol, and then the factor of breathing that, and then that mist. Then let's talk about the consumable products, So what consumable products you take? I'll name spray mist, water-based glue. You're not changing your platen tape every single day. What else? What else does that, the chemicals to clean your press? Yeah, because it gets crap all over it.
I think the biggest thing is the longevity of the product is just over time of all that stuff. Yes, the most expensive stuff is, the use of a product consistently. That's just cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. But then you add in, which most people, if they look at the price of anything and they say, oh, geez, well, $29.99 a sheet, I can get a spray can for 12, or I can get my water. Hey, my little bottle of water base, and maybe I'll split it with some water and try to increase it. I said, right, but how much are you paying yourself? And we can be modest, and then add up all that time. If you're doing it or you're paying someone else to do it, factor in that. One time, 1 week, if you're paying someone a decent screen printer's wage, which is most likely somewhere between 15 and 25, I would guess, that's pretty standard. Now add up 1 hour every week for 6 months.
Well, have you ever read the book 2 Second Lean?
No.
So it's great book. You should read it because PrintGRIP is a lean-based product. In lean manufacturing, it's an amazing thing. But Paul Akers makes that book fun. He spoke at a Print Hustlers conference before. And I've studied lean for a long time. We have Six Sigma, lean black belt here at Ryonet, Chris, who's one of the designers of the Riley Hopkins press. And it's so boring, but this guy makes it super fun. But he said the biggest cool thing about lean manufacturing is the human potential that you don't waste, And so what you just said is human potential, because human potential creates PrintGRIP. If you were too busy changing the platens, you would never come up with like you didn't take the time to think of that product. It's the most infinite, most valuable thing in our world. It makes us as a species the most unique on our planet because we can come up with those ideas, and so an hour to change, it's not only saving money, but it's making your life better. It's making the world a better place just because you're saving that much potential. And it's not just changing the platen tape, it's cleaning the press, it's cleaning the floor, it's so much more than just the putting spray mist on,
Right. I mean, and I remember I had this problem with our press when we were still using the spray. I remember we had a receptionist and we paid her high school son one summer to clean the press, and it took him like a month. I mean, granted, he was
milking that job.
Granted, he wasn't working 8 hours a day. He'd come in, but it still took him a month because I mean, you think of all the little nooks
everywhere.
That's what I was gonna say. Look, all the nooks and the crannies, and fan failures because they're clogged up. I think most people, it's probably your routine maintenance. Let's change that little filter on your. But you know what? There's a lot of places that I'm not looking at it. I'm not gonna worry about it until that fan starts operating. And then you're like, I'm getting a little hot in here, and then all of a sudden you blow a.
Your flash dryer goes down or your dryer, whatever it is, and then. Right. Then that's, again, human potential, production potential. Just I wanted to do some quick math. So when you invented PrintGRIP, you were having to change the platen tape doing hoodies every single day. So how long would that take you to change the platen tape on it? Would it P10, P12 press, like 12 platens on a press?
Yeah, so we had two presses. We had a 6/8 and an 8/10.
Okay, so you had 18 platens. How long would it take you at the beginning of the day to change the platen tape?
20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, so let's say it's 30 minutes. And how many shirts would you typically average an hour on those presses when you're printing fleece? You got to go a little slower print.
Yeah, probably between 80 and 120, depending on which design we were doing.
Okay, so let's call it 100. So that's 200 an hour with two presses. So 100 hoodies. And what are you making a profit per hoodie?
I mean, you'd like to be around, at least like a 40, 30 to 40% margin.
So $4 or $5?
Yeah, probably.
So let's call it it's $500 for you just using for. No, okay, you're not going to save that 30 minutes because we were up there cleaning with two people on there cleaning. It took us maybe 20 seconds of platen. So that would have taken us 3 minutes. So you're maybe not 500, maybe it's $450, $470 that you're saving, that you're making now because you can go to print versus rip the platen tape, get it on, cut it off, make, and then reglue, and then reglue again. You're doing it. It's PrintGRIP's faster than all that. So just the initial setup of the day, you're already starting the day off like almost $500 a head.
Right. And the hardest thing is, and anyone who, especially in a shop that's really, consumed with time and the time is the money and we don't want to slow down, you can kind of give them those numbers and be like, hey, it is going to be better for you. And, no operator, and I love all screen printers, but no operator that I've talked to, even myself, if say, hey, you can do this, or you're going to have to spray with it. Day one is going to suck. Okay. Everyone probably hates PrintGRIP the first day if they're told to do it. Okay. An owner and operator is open to the idea because they understand the benefits later.
Ooh.
If it's a larger shop and it's someone who's possibly incentivized with pay, or someone who all I need to do is come in, knock it out, and I can go home. I don't care about the press. I don't care about the floor. I just gonna come and do my job, and I need it to be as easy as possible because that's all I care about.
Yeah.
They will hate PrintGRIP day one. They may hate PrintGRIP day two, but I'll tell you what, if they can hold out, find their way to work with it. I'm a broken record when I say this. Find your way. Screen printers are very ingenuitive on processes, okay? But once they find their way, then it's like, we ain't ever going back. PrintGRIP is our savior now, but you got to get over that hurdle. There is a little bit of a learning curve. As I said, it's a yin and a yang. It's a different way to think about it. I add or I remove.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it's just as easy, if not easier, to remove than add, and it's faster. So I think that when I walk into a shop and talk about spray, right? And I go in the back of the spray and say, look at this. And they're like, look at what? Like cancer right on there, you know? And so what does PrintGRIP cost you? You know, pair of lungs, cancer, $500 an hour, doesn't really cost anything. You know, like when you put it in those perspectives, it becomes a no-brainer. And I think that people, that more and more information and just the thought of like, this is where we are in society, this is where our environmental impact to what we do, you know, they're like, I would love not to use this. You know, I think that is going to be more of the reception as this gets into people's hands and it becomes more of the norm.
Well, everyone I've talked to that uses spray tack, no one is using spray tack going, I love spray tack. You know,
Yeah.
People are saying either I have to use this because I really don't have another option, or I didn't know there was another option, or it was just like, you know, it's just it's a needed necessity, you know, and it's just like, no, we gotta do it for this, but we can't stand it. Like, you know, I mean, I understand it as a screen printer, but you know, it's just like at the same time, it's like, man, you know, we got to change this for ourselves. You know, if we all are using a product we hate, you know, it's like, geez, what are we doing? What are we doing for ourselves?
It is more convenient when you're looking at that we have a 24 platen oval at MadeLab, and when we just put fresh platen tape on, and we're like, we have 20 students ready to print, and we're like, oh, I forgot to do the platens. Like, all right, I want to use this spray. Now we don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah. It's like we got PrintGRIP on there. The moment we put it on there, the moment we showed it in a class the first time, it worked, with the exception of I printed it without a shirt on it, and never do that. So
yeah, that can have some problems.
We were doing a quick setup job. We're like, this is how you efficiently set up a press, and we're going to show lean manufacturing and everything like that. We didn't have any of our processes documented, so like when I went print start, I didn't print finish. So we're on to the third platen, and then it's come around and hits the PrintGRIP. And this is a brand new PrintGRIP, and the screen just stuck. And the press lifted up, didn't break the screen. It didn't go pop, but the PrintGRIP, the screen was literally down.
Yeah.
And it sucked up. Like, I think I can save it. And then it just stretched out the screen so much that the job, we had to reburn the screen.
Yeah, it is loud. We had a shop. It echoed and it was like a shotgun going off. Like, and everyone knew. Boom, you know.
Printed the grip. I signed it. You know, that's a thing.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. If you ever print a platen, you got to sign it.
Oh.
And the nice thing about a PrintGRIP is that doesn't go away. That Sharpie becomes a part of the PrintGRIP, and so everyone will remember. That's like because you can just take that platen tape off.
Yeah.
It's not coming out.
And no one remembers
500,000 prints later, it's like, I remember when I printed that platen. Like, it wasn't good down there.
It keeps coming around as a reminder. Ryan's platen.
Yeah, it's walk of shame. Well, I think it's an amazing thing that you did. You called yourself a creator, not an inventor. Why is that?
When I think of inventor, I think of, you know, my mind immediately goes back to, you know, these people that were, you know, etched in history, you know, Ben Franklin, you know, Alexander Graham Bell, Nikola Tesla, you know, and you know, I know there's people who, you know, probably made the tack too, you know, but, you know, to me, I kind of put them on a little higher pedestal, and so I like creator, you know, I don't know, just maybe it fits me or my personality better.
Did you ever think that you would go from banking to screen printing to then like selling a product that changes theoretically the way screen printing is essentially done in people's lives and processes and throughout the way?
Never. And even the like I said, even the day that I came up with the idea, it was just for me. It was just so I could get my job done. And I think that's a lot of screen printers mentality. And when I say, like, you know, the stuff that you see screen printers doing, you know, I always say, like, when you're screen printing, you're going from A to C. Well, not everyone goes through B. Some people go around B. Mm-hmm. Some people go over B. Some people go under B, you know? But C is always done, and it's done in multiple ways. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I see people using PrintGRIP. I see people telling me stories on how they use PrintGRIP. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And you know, when something is really there, I'll promote that person. I'll promote, you know, what they're doing so we can spread it around and say, hey, you know, like, look what this guy did. We should all be doing that.
Yeah.
You know, like that's an amazing little version that person came up with, you know, and they're taking my product and they're making it better. They're making it better for them, you know? So I'm more than happy to hear and see those things than anything else, because then I know, like when you said what keeps you going, this is what really keeps. What's someone to come up with tomorrow? Like, I want to see what someone's going to do tomorrow with it.
With PrintGRIP.
Yes.
What's the coolest thing you've seen so far?
Just people coming up with faster and faster ways to clean it.
Yeah.
I mean, just, you know, people knocking it out like lightning.
PrintGRIP, have you ever done like a PrintGRIP challenge?
Oh,
I'd say like, let's see how fast we can re-grip a platen set, like 10 platens or 20 platens.
I know that there's probably some pretty impressive people out there that can do it.
Yeah, especially at a trade show or something like that.
Oh yeah.
You know, we could do that next year at one of the auto presses, to like do a challenge after the end of every day. Like, let's see who can, you know, clean these the fastest with a team of 2 or whatnot, and whoever wins a set of PrintGRIP.
Oh yeah, I like it. But yeah, I mean, the cleaning process, especially when people are using loaders and unloaders. I mean, I've seen people with air hoses. I've seen people, you know, like tag teaming it, you know, using your flasher, you know, running it on auto, you know, just, you know, buckets of water and going. It's amazing, you know, like you find your way and let it be your way and keep it going.
That's awesome that you were a screen printer. You saw a problem, you filled the problem. Like you said, so many people said, oh, I had that idea, or I had an idea like that once. There's $1 million ideas, but only 1 in a million screen printers do something about it.
Yeah.
So, and personally, I thank you for really making that impact. I think it's much, much bigger than we all think, you know. And so literally the point of like probably saving lives of people that are having to spray that adhesive all day long.
Yeah, I think it will.
See what it did with that press. What's dude's lungs look like?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's crazy.
I wonder about that a lot. You know, the one thing I see all the time. I mean, you see products that people used every day, and then all of a sudden, then you come to find out like, oh, there's a problem with that, and you know, we may all have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of stuff our industry has that you know, we all may have problems with that later.
Yeah.
You know, PrintGRIP not being one of them.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, if it's one thing that you would want screen printers to know about PrintGRIP or anything, what would you say?
Just that, you know, I think right now I label it as an alternative palette adhesive. And I think the future I would like to do is, I don't want to use the label that it's an alternative. I would like it to be the standard.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, with the help of you guys and you know, your ability to get this stuff out there, you know, I think that's the way I think it can go. And I think, you know, being with people like you guys who have the ability to, you know, have that kind of influence, that's to me is where we're going. PrintGRIP is no longer an alternative. It's PrintGRIP, and then there's other glues, you know, or I guess it would not other glues. There's other adhesives. It's PrintGRIP is the standard. Everything else can be used. And I think, you know, in my maybe biased mind, I think that's the future.
That's an awesome future. I think it's a cleaner future. It's a more friendly future. It's a more productive future for the screen printing shop. And I think you've probably seen that. You know, I don't know. Do you know the adoption rate of how many people, or the percentage of anyone like not, once they've used it, they don't replace it? Say, I'm going back to spray mist, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to calculate that on my end because I wouldn't know how many. Well, I guess I could probably go back and do some data searching, but I know that my conversion rate when I was back in the day with my samples was very high, and I think you guys will probably start seeing some of those numbers as well. That, you know, once they try it, once they find their way, it's like, well, it's why would I ever do anything else now?
Yeah. I hope that industry goes that way. And thank you for coming up with the idea and then having the tenacity and not giving up through the little bit of a struggle and, you know, being told no and how, you know, what's in it for me. That's awesome to hear that now this is out there. It's readily available. It's continuously being improved and people are making it their own in every single shop. So Appreciate you, Chad, for talking shop with us. Great job, and looking forward to see where this goes.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, and this is great, and I love working with your team and everyone. As you guys can't see, these guys behind the scenes, and Brandon, of course. So I appreciate it more than anything else, because you guys are the ones that are actually giving PrintGRIP the platform to bring it out to more people. So, and that's really, I'm super appreciative of that opportunity. So thank you.
All right, we'll tell it next time. Talk some more shop.